Go ahead, introduce yourself, who you are, who you help.
Hi, my name is Michelle Manley, and I am a soma-spiritual mentor, a Reiki Master Teacher, and a Jungian tarot reader. I help women over 40, 45, who feel disconnected from themselves, who have realized they have spent years living for other people and don't even know who they are anymore. I help them reconnect with themselves and come into greater communion with themselves and connect more deeply with the energies around them and within them.
So, how did you get into doing all of those different things?
Well, years ago, I was raised Catholic. I went 12 years to Catholic school. I then went in, when I left school, I knew that wasn't the right spiritual path for me. So I explored nature-based religion. So I was very into Wicca, witchcraft, definitely went that route. And, and then things went really weird when people that I knew from a fundamentalist church invited me to go to church with them. And I have no idea, in retrospect, I do have an idea. But at the time, I was just like, sure, I'll try something new. I ended up spending 6 years in a fundamentalist church that I now consider a cult, to be honest with you, given some of their teachings, um, which primed me for an abusive marriage where I spent 12 years. When all that broke down, I was left wondering who I was, basically. Who am I? What lights me up? What is going to pull me out of where I'm at? Is very disempowered, at that point. And I remembered back to the nature-based religions. So I started going back and exploring that. And in the process, I came across Reiki and energy healing. And that was when things really started to click for me, when I really started to gain my power back. I learned how to reclaim who I was, establish boundaries, which was, huge because I had not had any for many years. Um, and all of that, my own healing journey, piece by piece by piece, has led me to where finding this framework that really has helped many women, come back into communion, come back into relationship with themselves. And it really was my own pain-filled journey that did it.
Sounds like an amazing, long, and insightful journey. So, have you invested in networking groups or coaching?
Yes to both. I believe so much in the power of good coaching and the power of having somebody who's there that has a higher or clearer vision for you than you might be having for yourself at the moment. Somebody that can see the way a little better than you can. I believe that can be invaluable. I would not be here if it wasn't for great therapists, great coaches, great support. So I am firm fan of that. And then in recent years, I've realized the power of networking and finding other aligned people, and just the power in having that community that can share that vision with you. It's so like essential for me. So absolutely fan of investing in both.
So, did you invest in paid communities or just free networking communities?
I've done both. I'm in one. It's a low ticket paid community, but it's been really great. I've made a lot of collaborative connections, so it's well worth the money. I've done a few of the higher ticket single session networking meetings, and those are good. I've done a lot of free ones, and they vary a lot. I prefer the smaller ones where you can actually talk to someone versus those ones where they have 1,000 people on. I find that to be a little less intimate.
What would you say is a good size?
That's a good question. I guess anywhere from like 10 to 50, I think, depending on how the moderator manages it and how it's broken down. I'd say that's a really good size.
Yeah, I would agree. When I'm big enough that you're meeting new people, but small enough that you get to know people enough to know if you want to get on a coffee chat with them or not.
Exactly.
How has the way you network changed over time?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't think I even really understood what networking was in the beginning. I was like, oh, I'm just meeting people. To me, there was no actual like forethought into it. It was just kind of, I'm a very social person. So to me, it was just another avenue to meet people. And that was wonderful. Um, Over time, that's evolved. And now I understand more of the purpose. And I go into networking meetings. I say more focused on what it is I'm looking for. Am I looking for people to collaborate with? Am I looking for people to guest teach in my group? What am I looking for? So it really, having that forethought is relatively new for me.
Yeah, like that's been huge for me with networking as well. It's like realizing, okay, I have a collaboration in mind or some idea of what we could work together on.
Mhm.
That makes it so much more productive because then you have something to bring to that coffee chat.
Exactly.
Would you say you're more introverted or extroverted, and how has that affected your networking strategies?
That's a good question. I often wonder about that because I think I'm more extroverted than anything. I love people. I love meeting people. I love hearing their stories. But when I've had enough, I retreat and I need my downtime and my time to recalibrate with just myself or my family. Um, so I'd say I'm more extroverted. So that has helped me because I feel like it's a little easier for me to like talk to new people. It's not as overwhelming. Um, but also knowing when I'm hitting that threshold of like, you've been social long enough, you need to rest, is something I'm growing in because I will overextend myself.
Yeah, finding that balance with what works for you. And also, even if you were super extroverted, you still have to eat and sleep.
Exactly.
Do you prefer networking in groups or having more one-to-one conversations?
I like the group format because you get to meet a lot of different people at once. I really enjoy that. And then taking it to one, like, oh, I like that person's energy. I want to get to know them a little more. Because nothing beats that one connection when you actually can sit down and really talk to somebody and kind of see if they go off on the same tangents you go off on and all of that. So I think it's a combination of both, but I really do enjoy meeting a lot of new people.
Would you say getting comfortable being uncomfortable is part of the entrepreneur's skill set?
Absolutely, 100%. And that is an area that I personally am growing in a lot. I'm not one who likes to sit in comfortability. I'm kind of like, let's push it out of the way and ignore things and it'll be fine. It'll just work itself out. And, that isn't how it works in the entrepreneur world. You actually have to man the helm and do your stuff. And so, you're always getting pushed past your comfort zone because that's where you grow. And yeah, so learning to be okay with the growth process is essential.
How do you feel about direct messages on Facebook? Do you love them, hate them, somewhere in the middle?
It depends. Occasionally I'll get ones, from people that have joined a group and somebody will be like, oh, we're in the same group. And you can tell it's coming from a sincere, let's get to know you place. And then there are the ones that are like, the minute you message them back, they're, pitching to you. And no, I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of cold DM pitches at all. Um, but building a direct relationship with somebody, yeah, I'm all about that.
Yeah, is that something that's evolved over time too, in terms of how you use your DMs?
Absolutely, absolutely. I am growing in my ability to follow up with DMs. It's not something that I was doing. I think because I had such a aversion to cold DMs, I wasn't using the DMs at all. And now I'm starting to actually use them and utilize them in a way that is supportive and, not coming from this ulterior motive. But I had some issues there. So it's definitely something I'm growing in.
Yeah, I know that feeling because I learned from marketing coaches who are very much this like anti DMs place.
Mm,
But I see the advantage of the DMs is sometimes there's things you want to discuss that really don't belong in a massive public group or even a
hmm.
smaller group because they're just more personal.
Yep, 100%.
What are your thoughts on tapping into your intuition when networking?
Ooh, I love that. I am somebody who lives by my intuition anyway. It's really how I navigate life, and I can often forget to tap into it. However, in networking, especially when I meet new people, I have learned to trust my own inner radar so much, because before I used to take everybody at surface value, and like if I didn't connect with somebody, I'd be like, well, I talk myself out of it, basically. Like, oh, you're just imagining things, or oh, that's not what they meant, or oh, they're fine. Now I listen. If my intuition says, that person is not for you, I trust it. And likewise, if that in my intuition says, no, get to know this person, I absolutely will listen to that.
Yeah, so it's been an exercise in trusting that rather than ignoring it.
Yes, 100%. Yep.
Have you ever found it difficult to like be out of the closet when networking on some of these things?
At this point in my life, I've embraced who I am. So I generally don't care if people think I'm strange and odd or, if, like, oh my gosh, she navigates the world using her intuition. How strange. Like, maybe it does seem strange to them, but to me, it's absolutely the most aligned way I can walk. So I don't feel too uncomfortable with it anymore. People are either going to resonate or they're going to think I'm odd.
So that's been a journey for you then.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because I'm a recovering people pleaser. So I used to blend in to be like the chameleon, if this group is very professional, then I'll be very professional. It's probably only in the past 5 years that I can honestly say I'm really more in my own energy than I am in the energy of the room itself.
That's amazing. And that's also how you stand out at networking events. So people remember you instead of just forgetting.
Exactly.
Any closing remarks or things that you want to add?
Just that I enjoy networking. I think it is something that can benefit us in so many ways. Building that chosen community is so incredibly beneficial for us as entrepreneurs, as us as people that want to be our best selves. It is multi-layered return on the investment of your time.
Anything else?
I think that's it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.